Hey, I wanted to show you how to use this PhET website to work on this Dalton's Law of partial pressure experiment. The goal of this experiment is to really confirm Dalton's Law, which basically says at constant temperatures, the pressure of a mixture of gases is equal to the sum of the pressures of the individual gases measured separately in the same container. So here's how you use this site. One of the things you want to do is click on particles here, and you can add heavy particles or light particles. If you click this button, you'll add 50 particles at a time. If you click on the small arrow, you just add one at a time. To get back to zero, you can either delete particles like that, or you can refresh the whole page by clicking this button down here. Some nice features are this width button, and that puts a ruler at the bottom that tells you the width of the container. And up here you have variables that you can hold constant, but you can only hold them constant once you actually put in some particles. So let's say I want to put in 25 heavy particles. I'm going to click this until I get to 25. In this particular experiment, you're going to want to hold the volume constant. Now I haven't found a way to get this to hold the volume and the temperature constant at the same time. So if I click on temperature, do you see how the volume button goes away? So I would say keep the volume constant, and then as you're adding more particles, like for example, maybe I'm going to add 150 light particles. If for some reason you see the temperature up here change away from 300 Kelvin, just add heat or remove heat until you get the temperature to go back down to 300 kelvins. So I found when I did this experiment, that's the only way I could make sure that the temperature was constant on every trial, was just to manually manipulate it to till it was about 300. The final thing I wanted to say was, when you're doing this experiment, you are trying to read a lot of pressures, but the pressures are going to constantly move around. So you're just going to have to try to look at the pressures and kind of get an average value for what you're looking at. I wouldn't worry too much about being super strict with your answers here. I found that I just looked at my pressure numbers and went to the pressure number that was to the nearest whole number or the nearest half number, whichever seemed closest mentally in my mind to the average. So when you end up making comparisons with your data, you're going to have to make a small allowance for the fact that the pressures aren't staying super consistent. Because really, the pressure is measured every time those particles are hitting the sides of the wall, and at any one given point in time, the number of collisions against the wall isn't constant. So have fun with this, just play around with the simulation. I think you can collect some nice data for this that will really illustrate Dalton's Law well. And I'll see you tomorrow. I think that's it.